there! This is the last in a series of 3 quick videos where I talk about how I made that animation at the beginning. Here, I'll talk about combining keyframes with frame-by-frame animation in Clip Studio Paint. If you're not sure how to animate in CSP, check out my animation overview tutorial linked in the description. As a quick overview, frame-by-frame animation is when you have multiple cells in an animation folder, and each cell is placed on one or more frames in the timeline. Keyframe animation, on the other hand, does not need an animation folder. It's used for animating position, rotation, scale, and opacity. You just set the start and end frames, called the keys, and the program interpolates everything in between automatically. You can add keyframes to a single layer, or to an entire folder, allowing you to chain multiple motions together. What you may not know, however, is that you can add keyframes to animation folders too. Here's the animation I've been working on in the last 2 videos. I've added my character's neck and shoulders on their own separate layer, and colored everything in. The head is in an animation folder that contains my eye blinks and lip syncing. I'll select the animation folder and click Enable Keyframes on this layer. To control a keyframe-enabled layer or folder, go to the Operation tool and select the Object subtool. Making sure I'm on frame 1, I'll move the center of rotation for my head down to where the neck would connect with it. This causes a keyframe to appear on this folder. Next, I'll move the playhead to frame 9, and then tilt the head object, causing another keyframe to appear. When I press play, you see both my frame-by-frame animation and the head tilt from the keyframes. You may have noticed that you can't edit layers with keyframes turned on. All you have to do is click Edit Layers with Active Keyframes, which temporarily disables keyframes so you can make adjustments. Just click it again when you're done. In fact, you can just turn keyframes off entirely and make your edits. When you click Enable Keyframes on this layer again, they'll reappear. Remember when I mentioned chaining animations? Well, frame-by-frame animation folders can be included in the chain too. For example, I've added a subtle animation of the fingers spreading a little as I wave my hand. The hand is in an animation folder, while the arm is a separate layer. I'll add both of these to a single parent folder that I'll name Arm. Click Enable Keyframes on this layer. Go to the Object subtool, and move the center of rotation down off-screen to where the whole arm would rotate. First, I'll move and rotate the arm to its starting position. Then, I'll put the playhead out a few frames and move the arm to a little past its final position. I've added some overshoot to the animation to emphasize the movement, so I'll move it to its final resting position a couple frames later. I talk more about this in my animated emote tutorial. That looks pretty good, but the wrist is stiff, so let's animate the hand too. When I select the animation folder with the hand, note that the Enable Keyframes button is grayed out. Because the parent folder already has keyframes enabled, they're enabled for child folders automatically. On frame 1, I'll move the center of rotation for the hand to its base, and tilt the hand to its starting position. Then I'll go to the end of the animation, and rotate it to the position I wanted at the end. I'll add a little overshoot with this motion as well. Now you have 3 animated motions, keyframes moving the arm and the wrist, and then the frame-by-frame motion of the hand. You can add a lot of movement and life to your character using these techniques. This is a fairly simple example, but I hope it helps you see just how much you can do with this great tool. Don't forget to tag me at Ms.RedNebula on socials and show me your animations. Hope to see you soon. Bye. A big thank you to all of my patrons, with a special shout out to Nova Tier patron Joe C. Phipps. Check out my Patreon if you'd like to help support future content like this.